Good evening, traveler. Welcome back to Mythoria, Secrets and Sagas. Here, each midnight in England, I set sail with stories from forgotten worlds, so that at the next midnight they may reach you wherever you are. Tell me, as always, where do you listen from tonight, and what time is it for you? We sail together across oceans of time. Tonight, I ask you to imagine yourself not as a soldier, not as a knight, not even as a man, but as a woman, and not in safety, not in home, but aboard a pirate ship in the 17th century, when the seas boiled with hunger, gold, and violence. What would it mean to step onto the deck of a pirate vessel, dressed in stolen men's clothes, your hair bound beneath a rag, your voice lowered, your name forgotten? Could you survive a life of rum, smoke, storms, betrayal, and blood? Could you survive, hidden among the most dangerous men of the sea? This is no romantic tale of adventure. This is survival disguised. This is life on a pirate ship, as a woman. Chapter 1. The Disguise. The harbor stinks of salt fish and tar. Gulls scream overhead, and the creak of rigging fills the air. You stand at the edge of the dock, boots too large on your feet, a rough shirt hanging loose against your frame. Your breasts are bound tight with cloth that cuts into your ribs. Your hair, once your pride, is hacked short, hidden beneath a filthy cap. Your name is not your own anymore. You have taken another. Something sharp, short, forgettable. A man's name because a woman's would mean death. On this dock, you are no longer daughter, sister, or lover. You are a sailor, a liar, a risk. The ship looms before you. Its hull is scarred from old battles, planks patched with mismatched wood. The sails, stained and ragged, hang like the wings of a vulture. The Jolly Roger does not fly openly here, not in port, but you know its shadow is stitched into every rope, every nail. This is not a merchant vessel, this is a predator. You take a breath and step aboard. The deck groans beneath your weight. Around you, men shout, curse, laugh. They haul ropes, mend nets, sharpen blades. Some are scarred, missing ears or fingers. Some are gaunt, their teeth rotting from salt meat and lack of fruit. All of them are dangerous, and all of them would turn on you if they knew the truth. The quartermaster eyes you as you pass. His gaze is sharp, suspicious, but not yet accusing. He asks your name, and you give it. The lie you have practiced until it tastes real on your tongue. He grunts and waves you on. For now, you are safe. But safety here is fragile as a rope in storm. You are given work immediately. The rope burns your hands as you pull. The salt stings your cuts. The tar clings to your skin. You keep your head down, your voice low, mimicking the others. But every gesture feels dangerous. If your cloth slips, if your voice wavers, if your body betrays you, you will be found out. And then the sea will not be merciful. At night, you lie in the hold among the others. The stench is unbearable. Unwashed bodies, damp wood, rats scratching in the dark. Men snore, mutter, groan in their sleep. There is no privacy, no silence. You keep to yourself, heart hammering with every breath. A hand brushes against you in the dark, searching. You turn away, pretending to sleep, praying he does not try again. This is the price of disguise. Every moment is risk, every second is a lie. But you endure. You must. Because beyond this disguise lies a freedom no woman can have on land. On land you were trapped, bound by fathers and husbands, by laws that never spoke your name. Here, if you can survive the fire of suspicion, you might live as you choose. Here, you might even be feared. Still, the fear never leaves. Every laugh, every glance feels like a test. Every day is a knife's edge. You are not simply living on a pirate ship. You are surviving it one heartbeat at a time. And as the ship creaks into open water, sails catching the wind, you feel the truth in your bones. There is no turning back. You have stepped into another life, one that could devour you before the tide turns twice. This is your disguise, this is your cage, and this is the only chance you have. Dawn is a bruise along the horizon when the bosun's whistle slashes the dark. You scramble up with the rest, blinking salt from your eyes, your chest tight beneath the binding. Night stinks of bilge and breath. Morning stinks of tar. Either way, there is no fresh air here, only air that belongs to the ship. Hands aloft, the boatswain bellows, and the deck erupts into motion. You run, you climb. The ratlines bite your palms, hemp cuts deeper than any blade, but you can't show pain. Above, the sail hangs heavy with dew, a pale belly in a grey sky. You ease along the footrope, toes curled, thighs burning, the ocean spread beneath you like an open mouth. "Haul!" someone shouts. You lean your weight into the canvas, reefing, tying, moving with the others as if you've done this 100 times. If you fall alone. No one will lunge to catch a man who hesitates. Hesitation kills crews. Back on deck, your arms shake, but there's no time to notice. Buckets, holystones, coils of line to be flaked, blocks to be greased, a pump to be worked until your shoulders scream. The sea has 1,000 chores and none of them wait. Breakfast arrives in a wooden kid, passed hand to hand, hardtack as hard as your knuckles, salted beef slick with brine, a ladle of thin pea broth. You crack the biscuit on the butt of your knife to chase the weevils out. Everyone does. No one jokes about it. Jokes waste spit. A dram of rum follows, cut with water, the grog that smooths splinters in the throat and keeps mutiny sleeping. The quartermaster watches the measure because the quartermaster watches everything. He is the ship's true spine, you learn, the one who counts powder and beef, who keeps the keys to the common chest, who speaks for the crew against the captain. Here, power splits like rope, captain in battle, quartermaster in peace. Democracy in a world built on theft. It should feel like freedom. It feels like a knife tucked under your tongue. At the mainmast, a board is nailed, scratched with spiky letters and lines. The articles. Every man swore to them when he signed. No gambling for coin aboard. Debt rots discipline. Lights out at 8 bells. No striking a fellow without consent of the whole company. Shares are listed too. The captain takes 2, the quartermaster 1.5, gunners and boatswain a little more than common hands. The surgeon, if you have one, earns extra for the sore and the screams. You run your eyes over the last rule twice. No women or boys to be carried. The punishment is clear, marooning. A knife, a water cask, a pittance of powder. A prayer to whatever listens on deserted shores. You stand straighter, press your ribs tighter in their bandage. You keep your face toward the wind. Work divides into watches. 4 hours on, 4 off, unless the weather turns traitor. You coil line until your fingers go numb, then you're sent below to fetch shot for the gunners. Round iron balls slam into your chest when the ship lurches. Your shoulder blossoms with a bruise you will not admit exists. The gun crew checks their tools. Worms and sponges, rammers and handspikes, slow match smouldering like a serpent's tongue. You touch nothing that could betray you, no moment alone, no eyes on your body in the cramped, smoky dark. Above, the captain strides the quarterdeck with a steady, lean grace. He speaks little, listens much. The crew likes him for now. He's carried prize after prize since New Providence, and a captain who brings gold earns patience. But you've already learned the sea's other law. Patience is as short as rations. If he falters, a shout of "Vote" can strip him like canvas from the yard and hang him in the wind. The ship rolls into a slanting noon. Sun eats the mist, the sea glares. On the foredeck, a fiddler saws at a tune, thin as a blade, bright as a grin missing half its teeth. Men clap in time, slap the rail, sing verses so filthy they'd curdle milk. You do not sing. You chew hardtack with a jaw that aches from quiet. Laughter leans against you, testing. You're a silent one. A gunner grins, eyes narrowed. Where'd you sail last? Off Tortuga, you rasp, thickening your voice like rope tar. Whalers in 12. He snorts. Whalers don't breed sailors, they breed bones. You learn the ship's superstitions by listening. No whistling. It calls the wind to mischief. No cutting your hair on a calm. Neptune takes offense. Never rename a ship without blood and rum to buy off fate. Earrings aren't fashion. They're coin for the ferryman when the sea forgets your name. And women? Women aboard are bad luck, a storm in skirts. The crew jokes about it with a wink and a spit, but you feel the joke like a hook behind your breastbone. Bad luck? A storm. If they named you, it would not be a sailor. Late in the afternoon practice. Drums, then orders sharp as gull cries. Beat to quarters, hands to guns. Powder monkeys, fly. You run the line, kidneys jarring with each step, passing small kegs of powder down the chain. Never running fire near the barrel, never tripping, never breathing wrong. The first time the gun captain shouts, "Give fire," the world fractures. Thunder climbs up from the deck through your bones, into your head. Smoke rolls like God's breath. The recoil jerks the carriage, the tackle strains, and your ears ring until they forget what silence is. You taste salt and sulfur and a little blood where your teeth crack the inside of your lip. "Run 'em out!" the boatswain roars, and you do it again and again and again. When the sun goes down, the sea chooses mood. Sometimes she glass sheens, and the sky opens full of stars, a black velvet with silver stitched for saints. Sometimes she chops sideways and throws bile at your lips until you pray for death and mean it. Tonight, she snarls. Green water climbs aboard as if it owns the deck. Men rope themselves to the shrouds, legs braced, teeth bared, eyes narrowed to slits. You heave the pump, up, down, sucking the sea back into itself, arms on fire, lungs howling. A man slips, goes skidding. 3 hands catch him by collar, belt, boot, slam him back against the life of the ship. No one speaks. The sea has taken enough men without asking permission. Midnight finds you in the waist, hunched over a bowl of something that used to be peas. Your binding has rubbed your ribs raw. Each breath rattles. You pretend it is only the spray. Beside you, the cook tells a joke about a Spaniard, a Jesuit, and a goat, and even the quartermaster laughs in spite of himself. For a heartbeat you feel it, a warmth that isn't rum, a brotherhood that isn't a lie. Then someone farther down the bench starts a ballad about a girl with hair like wheat and a mouth like summer. The men groan and throw biscuit crumbs at him. "Save that for port, lover boy," someone jeers. You keep your eyes on the spoon, because if you look up, you will remember your own hair, the way it used to brush your shoulders, the way hands once braided it with blue ribbon on a saint's day. Memory is a leak. It sinks ships. Night watch. Stars like nails pounded into black wood. You pace the deck with 2 others, counting the slow falls of the swell, listening for the special wrong sound that means trouble. A lantern sways in the captain's hand as he makes his rounds, hood turned low so the flame won't blind his night eyes. He nods to you, a small nod, nothing warm in it, but not cold either. Recognition without intimacy, the only safe temperature aboard. At 2 bells aft, the quartermaster gathers a knot of men near the mainmast and opens the chest. Inside, cloth bags labelled in chalk, wooden casks, a glint like a promise under canvas. He dips a hand, brings up Spanish coin, cobs hacked from bars, uneven as rotten teeth. "Shares," he says. "Not a prize day, merely an accounting. Who owes tobacco, who takes a loan against the next capture, who's docked for breaking a line." His knuckle raps the board where the articles hang. Fairness is a ritual here. Fairness keeps knives in belts, not backs. You watch the faces, wolves and boys and fathers all stitched together by hunger and risk. You belong to them and do not belong. Brotherhood is a cloak you wear because cold kills faster than shame. Below, hammocks sway like cocoons. Men dream and some whimper. The surgeon snores through a broken nose. You thread yourself into your allotted space, wedge your knife where a hand can find it without thought. The ship groans. The timbers answer. Somewhere aft, the carpenter hums to the hull. An old habit, a love song for the wood that keeps you all from the teeth of the deep. You touch the binding at your ribs, easing it a finger's breadth so sleep can find purchase. Not too much, never too much. You think of the articles again. Lights and candles to be put out at 8 at night. If any of the crew after that hour take a candle into their cabin, he shall suffer the law of the ship. The law of the ship is older than law ashore. It is clear. It is immediate. It is what stands between order and knives. And then, close as your own breath, another law. No women aboard. You hold that line in your mind like a hot coin. It burns, but you keep it because remembering the danger is the only thing that keeps you safe inside it. What will you be if they learn you? A jest? An omen? A storm? Or an excuse? You smooth the thought like you'd smooth a wrinkle from a sail and hear in the seams of your fear. A story the gunner told at noon. 2 devils in petticoats who fought like men and spat like sailors who won more respect than any courtesan could dream. Names like Flint and Thunder on Nassau's lips. He spoke them with a grin as if he liked being frightened. Anne Bonny, Mary Read. You turned away then so he wouldn't see your face. Now in the dark, you let yourself hold their names like a talisman. A bell rings. Another watch turns in. The ship sighs. Rigging whispers. Water hisses past. The hull's old heart beats on. You are part of it now. A knot, a lash, a hand that hauls when the captain points. You sleep the way sailors sleep. One ear open, one hand on steel, a prayer half formed in the mouth, not a woman, not a man, a sailor, a lie that keeps you alive. When dawn bruises the horizon again, you'll climb, you'll haul, you'll heave the pump, you'll taste iron and gunpowder on your tongue. You'll laugh a little, curse a lot, and keep the secret stitched to your skin. Brotherhood is the only shelter the sea allows. To belong, you must disappear inside it. To survive, you must remember who you are beneath it. You close your eyes. The ship rocks. Somewhere ahead, a lookout will shout, "Sail!" and the world will tilt toward thunder. But that is tomorrow's storm. Tonight, you float between breaths, between names, between fates, kept aloft by boards, rope, and the unsteady mercy of men who would kill you if they knew. The sea keeps her own counsel, so do you. Morning breaks with a blade of light and a single word from the foremast. Sail! Every back stiffens. The ship pivots like an animal scenting blood. The captain climbs to the quarterdeck, glass to his eye. A merchantman, fat in the water, square sails bellied with good wind, too slow to flee, too proud to believe. The captain's mouth becomes a thin line, clear for action. Everything changes at once. The deck becomes a workshop of thunder. Sand is thrown across the planks so boots won't slide in what's coming. Buckets of water stand near each gun. The slow match smoulders like sleeping snakes. Pistols are checked. Flints sparked. Cutlasses run along a strip of sailcloth to bite a little cleaner. You're handed a boarding pike, ash pole, iron head dark with oil, and your palms remember yesterday, throat burns, as if knowing they'll have company by dusk. The articles are read short and fast. Shares promised, mercy contingent. No quarter if they run their flag to the last. Men nod, some spit, a few touch amulets, a coin on a thong, a saint pressed flat by worry, a lock of hair. You keep your hand still and your chest bound, your breath a measured carpenter's rule. The drum taps, beat to quarters. Guns run out until their black mouths kiss the sea. Powder boys, barefoot, fast, move like thoughts you can't catch, passing charges from the magazine to each waiting muzzle. The gun captain, a scar along his jaw the color of old meat, lifts a hand. Steady, he glances at you. Keep your head, it's dear. The captain gives the order. The world becomes noise. A gun speaks, then another, then 6. Recoil hurls the carriages back. Tackles creak. Smoke rolls thick and sweet, a taste of salt, sulfur, and someone else's fear. You ram home wadding with a crew that is suddenly one animal with many hands. Worm, sponge, powder, ball, cap, run out, fire. A rhythm born to stun the sky. Across the water, the merchant's stern blossoms splinters. Men duck. A shape falls. Chain shot screams through rigging, scissoring ropes with the clean malice of shears. Sailcloth sags like a collapsing lung. Your captain smiles without teeth. Close her. The helmsman answers with a tilt you feel in your knees. They show colours at last, not war, but plea. Too late. A crack of musketry pebbles the air between you. A ball licks past your ear, hot as a lie. You load, swab, load until your arms are wood. Then the order you feared and longed for. Grapnels. Hooks fly, bite, hold. The two ships kiss with the crunch of oak on oak. Lines go taut. The sea complains. Borders away. Cutlasses lift like a field of crooked moons. You move because every body moves, and to stand still is to die where you are. The rail leaps. The gap is nothing and everything. You cross it, boots catching the far bulwark, hands finding rope, breath gone. A man lunges. A blue coat, eyes white as boiled fish, a knife stuttering in his hand. You meet him wrong, too high, and the knife snags your sleeve, opening linen and a thin crescent of skin. Pain is a bell. It rings you hollow. You thrust with the pike. The iron head finds something softer than wood. He looks surprised, as if you've interrupted him mid-sentence, and sits down quite neatly. You stand there with the pole in your hands and a new weight behind your eyes that will never fully leave. There is no room on this deck for thought. Pistol flashes little suns. Smoke stings. Somewhere, the boatswain is laughing as if this were a tavern brawl with higher stakes. You duck a cutlass by instinct. It carves a curl from your cap. Your binding bites. You move smaller than a man would, quicker than a man expects. A gun goes off too near. Your ear fills with cotton, then a far sea. Then, in the corner of your vision, danger sharper than steel. A hand grabs your shirt where it opens at the throat. Fingers hesitate, then press, reading the shape of your ribs. The gunner from the waist, ginger stubble, silver hoop, stares at you like a man reading a map that can't be right. The moment stretches thin as a sail in squall. A screaming Spaniard slams into him, and the world tears. You drive your shoulder, your knee, your will into the moving knot. The gunner's grip slips. He swears at the Spaniard, not at you. You breathe again, a storm-torn sail that somehow holds. The merchant's men break, some drop weapons, some leap for the sea and choose odds with mercy there. Your quartermaster roars the word that ends it. Quarter! It ripples mood across both decks, a lowering, a loosening that is not safety, but is the closest the sea allows. Plunder begins as ritual, not frenzy. The quartermaster posts guards at hatches, at holds, at the captain's cabin. No stealing before division, no hidden pockets. You see his eyes like ledger lines. He counts men with a glance the way others count coin with tongue and teeth. But blood has its own arithmetic. The surgeon, God help him, has work. On the main hatch a man is laid out, his shin a ruin. The saw sings, a bright little tune to drown larger music. Rum pours. A belt goes between teeth. The cut is quick, the stump tarred. Smoke from man and pitch mingling like a marriage no priest will bless. You look away because you must not learn how easily a body becomes parts. Below, the hold coughs up its secrets. Casks of wine sweating tar, bolts of cloth, a chest that gives when pried, a glittering hiccup of coin and trinket. Someone finds a ring and slips it into his mouth with the quickness of a rat. The quartermaster sees. He does not shout. He taps the articles with 2 fingers. Later, judgment will be read like weather. You return to your ship with spoils in slings and men groaning like damaged timbers. The captain and quartermaster confer, heads together, voices low. Then the chest comes up. The company gathers, faces open with greed and caution. The twin saints of this life. Shares are counted aloud. The captain 2, the quartermaster 1.5, gunners, boatswain a shave less, common hands 1. Wounds earn smart money, if there's enough in the chest to call it that. The man missing a leg stares at nothing, a coin pressed warm into his palm. You take your share with a hand that does not shake until you are alone. And then betrayal arrives, not as a knife in the dark, but as a whisper in the bright. She's not right. The gunner again, voice pitched for the quartermaster's ear. You feel the words before you hear them, a wind shift you can't yet name. The quartermaster's eyes travel to you and away. He is a cautious man. He won't burn a rope to test its strength. He'll watch, he'll weigh. The crew drifts toward rum and relief. You drift toward shadow and silence. On the lee side, the carpenter sits with his back to the bulwark, whittling a length of pine into nothing. He speaks without looking up. You did steady work. You nod because words would break in your throat. He pauses. Steady men get steady questions. Keep your shirt closed. The knife peels a spiral of pale wood that falls like a dropped thought. For 2 days, the wind slacks, then kicks. Your secret rides each gust. The gunner finds reasons to be where you are. He jokes too brightly. He borrows your knife to test the edge and returns it with the blade turned toward your hand. A sailor-esque courtesy, or a small cruelty, you can't tell which. At night, you lie awake and count the creaks that are not creaks, the breaths that do not belong to sleep. On the third dawn, land hardens the horizon, a green shoulder, a lip of beach, a black seam of mangrove. The captain orders water casks filled, the quartermaster orders discipline. The word is neutral until it chooses a face. The crew gathers where the articles hang. The quartermaster clears his throat. 2 thefts from the common stock. 1 insolence to a gun captain. 1 man named for sour mischief, sowing quarrels. Eyes turn, hands flex. The accused step forward by custom or by shove. For theft, lashes or docking shares. For sowing quarrels, the punishment can be lighter. It can also be a beach. The gunner opens his mouth and closes it. He looks at you, then at the sand visible beyond the rail, then back to you. You meet his eyes fully for the first time and let him see what storms look like up close. Something in him decides a different weather. He names another man, the one who swallowed the ring. The quartermaster nods once. The ringman blusters and goes pale. The vote is quick. Lashes. He takes them with a stubborn silence that cracks on the 7th stroke. A different name follows, from a different mouth yours. Not your true name, but the borrowed one. He's light-fingered with truth, the voice says, half drunken, half sharp. Laughter lifts and dies. The quartermaster turns. The captain's face becomes a chart you cannot read. Your heart beats so hard it shakes splinters loose. Evidence? The quartermaster asks, almost bored. The accuser gestures, helpless, sour, empty-handed. The gunner's voice comes in like a tide you did not expect to save you. He stood the line, gave good powder, boarded clean. Murmurs of agreement. The quartermaster shrugs away the breeze. The accuser is docked a half-share for false heat. You breathe. Later, your knees will remember how close they came to sand. That night, the crew is loud with victory and small angers. Rum finds throats and throats find songs. You climb to the foredeck, where the stars seem close enough to pocket. The sea smells of leaf and earth, as if trees breathe this far out. A soft tread. The captain stands beside you, hands clasped behind, posture easy. He does not look at you when he speaks. Men join for hunger, or for heat in the blood, or for running from something that runs faster. You don't drink enough for heat. You handle hunger like a scholar. So, he tips his head, just so. Which is it you're running from? The answer is a reef field. You pick your way between white lines. Land, you say. All of it. He huffs a sound that might be a laugh. She's crueler than the sea in her way. A pause. Keep your head low. Keep your blade clean. Keep your secrets where even you can't find them when sleepy. He leaves before the deck can ask what the 2 of you were to each other in that moment. You watch the shore slip by. A dark ribbon. A story you will not join tonight. Somewhere beyond those trees, a gallows waits for a different tomorrow. Somewhere behind you, a man keeps a private tally with your false name on the bottom line. In your hammock later, the ship moves under you like a beast in a dream. You press your palm flat against your ribs, counting not breaths, but risks. Today, you killed. Today, you were nearly named. Today, the articles both shielded and sharpened. This is what brotherhood feels like when you are not allowed a brother's face, warm on the skin, cold in the bone. Sleep comes on the third try. It brings you a vision of two figures standing at a Nassau tavern door, one with hair like a flame tucked under a man-wes cap, the other with eyes like a storm refusing land. They lift their tankards, not in greeting but in challenge. Anne Bonny, Mary Red. The names drum the way the guns did. Tomorrow you will need their iron. Because tomorrow the sea will test you again. This time not only with thunder but with legend. The sea has moods, and today she is kind. The swells are steady, the sails full, the sky a wide blue bruise. The men are easier when the sea is easier. They sing as they haul lines, they dice in the shade of the forecastle, they shout insults that carry no venom. You move among them unnoticed, or so you hope, but whispers cling even when the wind is loud. It is at sunset, with the sun bleeding into the horizon, that the quartermaster tells a tale. His voice is rough as a rope pulled too many times, but his words hang heavy in the air. You all think you're lions, he begins, but there were lionesses once. Two of them, Anne Bonny and Mary Red, sailed with Jack Rackham, the one they called Calico Jack. At the names, the crew grows quiet. Some lean closer, some spit to ward off bad luck. You pretend to tie a coil of rope, but your ears burn. The tale begins in Nassau, the pirate's nest, where rum and blood mingled in the sand. Anne Bonny, an Irishwoman with hair like fire and a temper to match, left her husband for a pirate's life. She dressed as a man, fought like one, cursed like one, and when she was discovered, she was not thrown aside but feared all the more. She had a blade for every insult, the quartermaster says, and a laugh for every danger. Then Mary Red, raised in disguise from childhood, living half her life as a man, half as a woman, never sure which was safer. She fought as a soldier, then as a sailor, and at last as a pirate. On deck she was fierce, in battle she was fire, and when the crew discovered the truth, they did not scorn her. They followed her. She was steel wrapped in flesh. Together, the two women became storm and flame. They boarded ships with pistols blazing, cutlasses flashing, their shouts carrying louder than the men's. Some swore they were demons, others said they were freedom itself, but all agreed they were pirates. No disguise, no shame, no secret. Women on a ship, and yet more dangerous than any man aboard. The men around you shift uneasily as the story goes on. For them, it is a tale to frighten or to boast about. For you, it is a mirror held too close. You imagine Anne Bonny standing where you stand, daring anyone to name her. You imagine Mary Read tightening her blade, her heart steady, her secret not a chain but a weapon. They were what you pretend to be. They lived the truth you bury in silence, and they paid the price for it. The quartermaster's voice drops lower. They were captured in the end. Rackham hanged. The men went down quiet. But Bonny and Read, they stood in chains and told the court they were with child. The rope could wait. The world would have to wait. Mary died in prison, they say. Anne vanished. Some whisper she was freed by her father's coin. Others, that she escaped and lived long in some hidden place. The sea remembers her, though. The sea never forgets. Silence follows, heavier than cannon smoke. Someone mutters a prayer. Someone else laughs too loudly, breaking the spell. But the tale has already done its work. The crew has remembered that even here, in this brotherhood of thieves and killers, women once stood and matched them all. That night you lie awake in your hammock, the ship swaying like a cradle. The names beat in your head: Anne, Mary. They lived without disguise, without fear, for as long as the sea allowed. And you, bound and hidden, wonder which fate is worse, to live in silence or to die in truth. The sea whispers outside, steady and endless. The ship creaks like an old confessor. And you know, tomorrow will bring its own judgment. The sea has moods, and today she is kind. The swells are steady, the sails full, the sky a wide blue bruise. The men are easier when the sea is easier. They sing as they haul lines, they dice in the shade of the forecastle, they shout insults that carry no venom. You move among them unnoticed, or so you hope, but whispers cling even when the wind is loud. It is at sunset, with the sun bleeding into the horizon, that the quartermaster tells a tale. His voice is rough as a rope pulled too many times, but his words hang heavy in the air. "You all think you're lions," he begins, "but there were lionesses once. 2 of them, Anne Bonny and Mary Red, sailed with Jack Rackham, the one they called Calico Jack. At the names, the crew grows quiet. Some lean closer, some spit to ward off bad luck. You pretend to tie a coil of rope, but your ears burn." The tale begins in Nassau, the pirate's nest, where rum and blood mingled in the sand. Anne Bonny, an Irish woman with hair like fire and a temper to match, left her husband for a pirate's life. She dressed as a man, fought like one, cursed like one, and when she was discovered, she was not thrown aside but feared all the more. She had a blade for every insult, the quartermaster says, and a laugh for every danger. Then Mary Red, raised in disguise from childhood, living half her life as a man, half as a woman, never sure which was safer. She fought as a soldier, then as a sailor, and at last as a pirate. On deck she was fierce, in battle she was fire, and when the crew discovered the truth, they did not scorn her. They followed her. She was steel wrapped in flesh. Together, the 2 women became storm and flame. They boarded ships with pistols blazing, cutlasses flashing, their shouts carrying louder than the men's. Some swore they were demons, others said they were freedom itself, but all agreed they were pirates. No disguise, no shame, no secret. Women on a ship, and yet more dangerous than any man aboard. The men around you shift uneasily as the story goes on. For them, it is a tale to frighten or to boast about. For you, it is a mirror held too close. You imagine Anne Bonny standing where you stand, daring anyone to name her. You imagine Mary Read tightening her blade, her heart steady, her secret not a chain but a weapon. They were what you pretend to be. They lived the truth you bury in silence, and they paid the price for it. The quartermaster's voice drops lower. They were captured in the end. Rackham hanged. The men went down quiet. But Bonny and Read, they stood in chains and told the court they were with child. The rope could wait. The world would have to wait. Mary died in prison, they say. Anne vanished. Some whisper she was freed by her father's coin. Others, that she escaped and lived long in some hidden place. The sea remembers her, though. The sea never forgets. Silence follows, heavier than cannon smoke. Someone mutters a prayer. Someone else laughs too loudly, breaking the spell. But the tale has already done its work. The crew has remembered that even here, in this brotherhood of thieves and killers, women once stood and matched them all. That night you lie awake in your hammock, the ship swaying like a cradle. The names beat in your head: Anne, Mary. They lived without disguise, without fear, for as long as the sea allowed. And you, bound and hidden, wonder which fate is worse, to live in silence or to die in truth. The sea whispers outside, steady and endless. The ship creaks like an old confessor. And you know, tomorrow will bring its own judgment. The first sign is the air, heavy, thick. The sails hang limp, though no man dares call it calm. Gulls vanish, fleeing inland, their screams swallowed by a sky that seems to hold its breath. The sea rolls too smoothly, each swell glassy, deceptive. The boatswain mutters a prayer. The carpenter hammers wedges into the hatches. Men tie their hammocks high, in case the sea chooses to fill the hold. The captain says nothing, but his eyes are nailed to the horizon. Then the horizon disappears. The storm falls like a blade. A wall of black cloud slams across the sky, swallowing sun and sea alike. Wind roars, ripping canvas into shrieking banners. The ship heels hard, timbers groaning, every man clinging to rope and rail as if to life itself. Rain hammers like shot. Lightning tears the world open again and again, each flash freezing the men in bone-white terror. "Reef the topsails!" the boatswain screams, and the deck erupts into chaos. You climb because everyone climbs, your boots slipping, your ribs screaming beneath their binding. The mast shudders like a living thing, the sail whipping with strength enough to kill. Your hands bleed as you fight it down, tying reef points with fingers that barely feel rope from flesh. Below, the sea climbs aboard in sheets, foaming green, cold as knives. A wave strikes broadside. The deck tilts sickeningly, men skidding, barrels breaking loose, cannon rolling against their tackles. A cry, someone's gone over. Another, two more. The sea takes them without pause, no rope thrown, no prayer, just gone. You cling to the rigging until your muscles scream, until your fingers are raw meat. A line snaps near you, whipping like a serpent, cracking the skull of the man beside you. He drops soundlessly into the dark below. You cannot even hear him hit the water. The storm drowns all sound but its own voice, endless, furious, merciless. Hours stretch into eternity. The ship rises, falls, rises again, each plunge threatening to split her spine. The carpenter pumps, his face grey. The boatswain lashes himself to the rail, his voice raw with commands. Powder is drenched, guns useless. This is no battle of men against men. This is men against God, or devil, or the sea itself. And the sea does not yield. You taste blood in your mouth. You don't remember biting your lip. You don't remember when your breath became sobs. You only know that your body is a rope fraying, and that the storm has endless patience to see you break. And then silence. Morning drips from the sky like oil. The sea is calm, almost mocking. It swells, gentle, glittering in the pale light. The ship stinks of soaked wood, blood, and fear. Torn sails hang limp. The deck is slick with rain, and worse. The crew moves like ghosts. They count their number in silence. 5 gone, 2 broken, 1 dead in the scuppers with eyes still open. The carpenter marks repairs, the surgeon saws quietly, the boatswain knots lines with shaking hands. There is no ceremony, only work, always work. The storm has passed, but it has left its toll in bones and memories. The men speak little, their laughter drowned for now. You see it in their faces, the understanding that the sea is master and they are only tolerated guests. That night you lie in your hammock, rocking gently with the ship. You should be relieved, but you are not. The silence is worse than the storm. It reminds you that the sea is patient. It does not need to kill you today. It has all the time in the world. The articles hang by the mainmast, black letters etched into wood like a curse. At sea, they are law. No king, no court, no priest, only these rules, sworn upon and punished by the crew themselves. They promise fairness, but fairness on a pirate ship is sharp-edged. It cuts as deep as any blade. You learn the cost of breaking them the day a thief is caught. He thought himself clever, pocketing a silver coin from the last prize. But eyes are everywhere aboard, and greed is always betrayed. He is dragged to the deck, wrists bound, chest bare. The quartermaster reads the charge in a voice that feels more ritual than anger. Then the punishment begins. The cat-o'-nine-tails is a beast of leather and iron, its tails knotted with sharp grit. The first lash rips a scream from his throat. The second lays open his back. By the 5th, his voice is gone, replaced by the wet sound of flesh tearing. 10 strokes, 20, until his skin is ribbons, until the deck beneath him is stained dark. The crew watches in silence. No one looks away. The lesson is for all of you. When it is done, he is tossed a rag and rum. If he heals, he sails. If not, the sea will finish what the whip began. Mercy has no place here. Other punishments are darker still. You hear whispers of keel haul, a rope tied beneath the hull, a man dragged from one side of the ship to the other, his body scraped raw against barnacles and wood. If he drowns before surfacing, he is lucky. If not, the sea leaves him broken, bloodied, sometimes alive, sometimes only almost. Then there is marooning, a water cask, a pistol, a handful of powder, the condemned left on a spit of sand, the ship sailing away. Some men last a day. Some carve madness into the air before hunger finishes them. All pray to be forgotten by the sun. And always there is the rope. The captain can be voted out, but a traitor can be hanged. In some ports, the bodies of pirates dangle in iron cages at the harbour's mouth, left to rot as a warning. Their bones clatter in the wind, their empty eyes staring at every ship that passes. You live under these punishments every day. For a man, the risk is harsh but understood. For you, the risk is annihilation. Your secret is not only a crime against the articles. To them, it is a curse against the ship itself. If they discover you, punishment will not be justice. It will be fear disguised as law. One evening, as the sun sinks and the deck glows blood red, you see the quartermaster watching you. His eyes linger too long. You feel the rope already at your throat. You imagine yourself marooned on some nameless shore, the pistol heavy in your hand, the sea laughing as you fade. But then another shout rises, a quarrel between two gunners over stolen rum. The moment breaks. Punishment has found someone else tonight. You slip back into shadow, heart pounding. The sea has spared you again, but you know it is only a delay. The men joke loudly, trying to shake off the horror of what they have seen. But the jokes are hollow. Every man knows he could be next. Every man knows the articles are not protection. They are chains, just as heavy as any law ashore. You lie awake later, listening to the timbers creak, the waves slap against the hull, the quiet sob of the man flogged earlier. You wonder, how many lashes, how many secrets, how many lies can a body endure before it breaks? And the sea whispers back, as many as I wish. At sea, faith is not carried in churches or temples. It is carried in whispers, in charms, in the way men spit over the rail when someone speaks of doom. You discover this quickly. Pirates live closer to death than priests, and they trust omens more than sermons. The ship itself is holy in its own way. Men stroke the timbers as though they were skin, muttering small prayers to the oak that holds them above the abyss. The carpenter hums to the hull as he works, a low tune that no one interrupts. Some sailors knot little crosses into their lines. Others keep teeth, shark, dog, or even human, strung around their necks. Protection, they claim. Against what? No one says aloud. You hear their superstitions in fragments. Whistling calls the wind, but too much whistling invites a storm. Killing an albatross curses the whole crew. Black cats are good luck on board, but ill luck ashore. And always, women are said to be omens of disaster. Some laugh when they say it, some spit to ward it off. You laugh with them, though inside you are the very omen they fear. One evening, a sailor carves a crude figure into the mast. A man with no face, arms spread wide. He leaves offerings at its base, a coin, a scrap of cloth, a drop of rum. No one mocks him. A few others add their own. You realize then that the mast is more than wood. It is an altar. The prayers of pirates are not long or elegant. They are quick, desperate, and usually spoken to the sea herself. Some call her mother. Some call her monster. All fear her. When the waves rise high, when the storm claws the sails, the men clutch their charms and make promises. Gold offered, lives reformed, sins repented. If only the ship survives. The sea listens, and sometimes she answers. You see faith most clearly when death comes. A man falls from the rigging and does not surface. His mates mutter that Davy Jones has claimed him, that his soul is stuffed into the locker at the bottom of the sea, waiting with all the others. They pour a measure of rum over the rail, a small libation, and return to work. No priest, no psalm, only the sea and the locker and the silence. Some whisper of ghosts, too. They say drowned men walk the deck at night, dripping seawater, their faces hidden. They say voices rise from the deep, calling names that no one should answer. The surgeon scoffs at such tales, but he sleeps with a knife at his side all the same. For you, the danger is sharper. You are the superstition made flesh. If they knew what you were, you would be called curse, storm, witch. Faith would not protect you, faith would damn you. And so you keep your head low, your binding tight, your secret sealed. But sometimes, alone at night, you dare whisper a prayer of your own. Not to the sea, not to saints or gods, but to Anne and Mary, the pirate queens, whose names echo in taverns and courts alike. You pray for their courage, for their strength, for the chance to survive in a world that calls your very existence unlucky. The sea heaves gently, as if listening. You do not know if it answers. By dawn, the crew is laughing again, their fears hidden beneath songs and rum. But faith lingers in the way they touch the mast, the way they hush when gulls circle, the way they curse when a mirror breaks. Pirates fear no king, but they fear the sea, and they fear luck, and they fear the secrets that slip between them like shadows. And you, living as the very omen they dread, fear everything, and still you endure. The cry goes up before dawn, "Land ho!" A dark line sharpens on the horizon, and soon palm fronds glint against the sky. The smell reaches you before the shore does. Wet earth, rot, smoke, life. The men cheer, some crossing themselves, others spitting for luck. Port means drink, coin, women, forgetfulness. Port means danger dressed as comfort. The harbour is shallow, crowded with sloops and brigs that fly whatever flag buys them safety. Some hoist the English cross, some the Spanish crown, some nothing at all. All of them stink of lies. The captain steers you in bold, the quartermaster already tallying what must be traded for food and powder. But the crew, their eyes are on the taverns that sprawl like broken teeth along the shore. The anchor drops, the longboats are lowered, and soon your boots touch sand. It feels strange, solid, unyielding after so many weeks of rolling decks. The men scatter like gulls, laughter trailing them into the smoke and music. You follow. The first tavern is a chaos of bodies and sound. Rum sloshes in mugs, fists slam on tables, dice clatter across wood. The air is thick with sweat, tobacco, and the sharp tang of spilled spirits. Women move between the men, some laughing, some wary, some already claimed by strong hands and coins. Their eyes linger on you, puzzled for a moment, but then dismissing you as just another sailor. Your disguise holds, for now. A fiddler saws at his instrument, bow flying, as men stomp and sing. The songs are crude, violent, but their rhythm thrums in your bones. A pirate reels into you, his beard matted, his breath a furnace of rum. "Dance, boy!" he shouts and drags you into the circle. Feet stamp, mugs spill, laughter rises. You stumble, caught in the storm of bodies, your chest tight with fear that a slip will give you away. But the moment passes, the song swells, ends with a roar, and you are shoved back into the shadows, alive, unseen. Later, the quartermaster calls the crew together in a courtyard outside a counting house. The plunder from the last voyage is divided at last. Pouches of silver and gold pass from hand to hand, shares counted according to the articles. The captain takes his, the quartermaster his, the common men theirs. The air is alive with the clink of coin, the sigh of relief, the fever of desire. And then, as always, the fever consumes them. Some rush to the taverns, trading coin for rum until their voices are gone. Others vanish into backrooms, seeking women or men, warmth for a night. A few gamble until their share is gone before dawn. By tomorrow, most will have nothing left but a hangover and regret. The sea will take them back, whether they are rich or broke. You keep your share hidden, close to your skin. You do not drink much. You cannot risk the blur of rum loosening your tongue, loosening your disguise. But you watch, you learn. pirates live for the moment because the sea promises them no future. Yet danger is never far. In the shadows of the port, men whisper of bounty hunters, of navy patrols, of spies who sell names for coin. A drunken pirate brags too loudly of his last kill, and by morning he is gone, taken in chains to face the rope. Another is found in the gutter, throat cut, his coin vanished. Brotherhood ends at the water's edge. And for you, the risk is doubled. Among the women of the port, you are reminded of what you are hiding. Their laughter, their eyes, their hands on the arms of men, it all cuts sharper than any cutlass. You envy them, but you fear them too. For if one looks too closely, if one sees through your disguise, your life could end in an instant. By dawn, the crew staggers back to the boats. Some singing, some silent, some broken. The ship waits, her sails hungry for wind. The shore fades behind you, a mirage of fire and ash. Port gives pleasure, but never safety. It offers gold, rum, flesh, lies, but only for a night. The sea always calls you back, and the sea never forgets. The voyage is over, though the sea never truly ends. You have lived the storms and the silence, the hunger and the stench, the lash and the whispers. You have seen death take men in thunder and in quiet, in battle and in drink. You have kept your secret through sleepless nights and bleeding days, binding your body until it bruised, lowering your voice until it rasped, hiding every curve, every breath, every glance that might betray you. And now you understand the truth. This is not a life you could endure. For a man, the sea was already merciless. Salt water burned his wounds, hardtack broke his teeth, storms dragged him overboard without pity. The articles ruled him with whip and rope, and every dawn was a wager with death. For a woman, the sea's price was doubled. You were outlaw not only to the world of kings and courts, but to the brotherhood itself. You were omen, curse, bad luck made flesh. If they knew you, they would not forgive you. They would not spare you. They would make of you an example, a story whispered to warn others never to try the same. You think of Bonny and Mary Red, who cast away disguise and lived their truth beneath black sails. For a time, they carved their place in history, their blades as sharp as any man's, their fury louder than cannon fire. Yet even they were captured. Even they faced the rope. The sea gave them freedom for a season, but not for a life. So what chance would you have hiding, binding, lying with every breath? How long before your disguise slipped, before hunger broke your strength, before suspicion turned into accusation? The truth is simple. You could not survive as a woman on a pirate ship. Not because you are weaker, but because the world itself was built to deny you. Because every law, every superstition, every fear was stacked against you. Because the sea, for all her vastness, left no room for you to be both woman and sailor. And yet, for a brief moment, you tasted freedom. On that deck, in the storm, in the roar of battle, in the glow of plundered gold, you lived outside the chains of land and law. You lived as no woman ashore was permitted to live. You lived as a pirate, if only in shadow. That is the cruelest truth of all. The sea could give you freedom, but only the kind that eats you alive. So now, traveler, I ask you, could you endure it? Could you bind yourself, hide yourself, risk discovery every day, every night? Could you live in fear of your own body, even as the sea demanded more than any body could give? Tell me in the comments below. Where are you listening from tonight, and what time is it for you? Could you have survived even a single day as a woman on a pirate ship? Thank you for sailing with me through hunger, storm, fire, and fear. This tale ends here, but the sea never sleeps, and her stories are endless. Rest now, traveler, for another midnight will bring another voyage. Until then, may the sea spare you, may the wind be kind, and may your secrets never need to be bound in rope. Good night.